Hey, how are you all? I had a absolute craving for beef stroganoff, and I had mentioned on my business page the other day that I was looking forward to getting rid of some sour cream that I had, and I thought what better way to do it than to make some beef stroganoff. So I'm going to do that really quickly. I've done a lot of prep work, but I thought I'd come in and show you. Years ago, I ate at the Russian Tea Room in New York and loved it, and it was one of my favorite beef stroganoff recipes, and so I want to share it with you now. So I have cut up some sirloin, and I've cut it into little like half-inch pieces, and I've done a whole bunch over here already pre-prepped, but this is what I wanted to kind of show you. So this is our meat tenderizer. If you don't have our meat tenderizer, you're missing out. You can turn off the, screw off the bottom, and you can actually use the spike part of it to like tenderize beef and things like that. Right now I'm just trying to flatten it, so I'm going to use the flattened side. This thing is super sturdy, so in the cause of a break-in, you could grab this and I bet you somebody would go running. So anyway, I'm just going to flatten these out really quickly. Super easy. You're supposed to do it to about a 1/4 inch, and then once they're a 1/4 inch, if they're a little too wide, I'm just going to make them, those last little pieces there, I'm going to slice them in half a little bit. So basically you're looking for strips of beef, and so I've done most of those. So those right there are pretty good. And then what I've done is it has actually called for you to let your meat rest for about 15 minutes. It's been here about that long. And then also you want to salt and pepper everything. So once I put these fresh ones on top, I will salt and pepper that really quickly. I'm using our paring knife. The paring knives, all the black handled knives are lifetime guaranteed. So if you like a good knife, but you don't want to have to keep replacing a knife in your kitchen, the lifetime guaranteed knives are the best way to do so. Additionally, I think most of my clients know this, but the set of knives is not only lifetime guaranteed, but it is forged tip to tip. So you can see that the steel goes all the way through like that. If you didn't want to purchase an entire set of knives by yourself, you know, you can actually host your own show and you can go ahead and get them for half price. So that's a really good deal to get them for half price, and then again, not to ever have to buy them again, which is really great. So, all right, I'm gonna hurry this up because I've got some onions on the stove over here. So I'm gonna take this, and I've got our Pampered Chef salt shaker, which is a great grinder, and then of course our pepper as well. And they are beautiful on any table, which is why I really like those. So, okay, so I also need a little bit of white wine, and so I thought I would go ahead. Let me go ahead and get rid of the parchment paper that's a little bit messy. So I'm going to use our wine opener. And so if you've not used our wine opener before, it sits beautifully just like this. It actually charges with a USB charger, or you can actually plug it into the wall with the cord that it comes with. But so if you're on vacation and you want to charge it with your computer, you can do that as well. So the bottom of the wine is the opener, and all you do is just squeeze nice and hard. And then there comes the top right off, super easy. And so I don't know about you, but the older I get, the harder my wrists have trouble gripping things. And so all I'm gonna do is press the down button. And voila, the top just came out. And then to get it out, all I do is hit the reverse button. Super easy. And it lets it go like that. So that's something that I really, really like. And so I need about a half a cup of white wine, and it actually calls for tomato paste in here, and it called for it to come together, so I went ahead and just stuck it in there together. So give me just a second, I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I'm back, and I am making, let's see, I've got the onions in here. They've been caramelizing really nicely. I put that with 2 tablespoons of butter, and I have all the meat in here, and basically it is telling me to brown it for about 3 minutes. So I've gone ahead and done almost all of that. So the next thing that I have to do is I need to take a tablespoon of flour and 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. And I could have done regular Dijon mustard, or I could have done powdered Dijon mustard, but Pampered Chef has got such a great pantry line that I wouldn't hesitate to add the Dijon mustard from our pantry line. So, and I believe it's actually discontinued now, which makes me kind of sad, but pantry line is amazing if you have not looked at it. So I'm gonna just flour this really easily. Typically you'll flour your stroganoff before you put it in the pan, but I think it's interesting that they want us to do this after the fact. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And that's gonna bring it to a nice gravy consistency. You can see how nice this is. I'm cooking this in our enameled cast iron pan with the lid, and thank goodness, because the lid is required for the next stage here. And so I'm kind of glad that this thing has a lid. Not only that, the lid on it is fantastic, has that great handle for it, but enameled cast iron is just awesome to cook in. And again, also with Pampered Chef, it's lifetime guaranteed. So it's super great. Okay, so the next thing I need to do, since I stirred in the flour and the mustard, is I cooked it for about a minute, is I need to add the half a cup of white wine and the tomato paste. Now, it's really funny because the tomato paste was such a huge bone of contention for people who were doing the recipe. I was reading all of the reviews and they were like, why would you do that, and so forth. But I wanted to give it a go because this really does say that it is the Russian Tea Room's very similar recipe, and I've been trying to recreate it for years. And so I absolutely loved when I lived in New York, and I love that recipe. And since the Russian Tea Room is no more, I want to go ahead and try that out. Okay, so now I need to stir this, and then I've gone ahead and done so, and I need to turn it down to low. And I'm going to put, as I grab my lid, as you can see how great that lid and that handle is, look at that. And additionally, there's flavor bumps on the top, which means that you can actually let the flavors, you know, it'll basically condensate on top of here, and then it'll go right back down on top of the pan. So let's see if I can get that on there for you so you can see everything. And so that's for about 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my clock here, 1:43. So I've got about maybe till like 1:50 or so. And so the next thing I'm going to do is what the next pan is requiring. And this is also a little bit different than most people required for the recipe, which I thought was interesting, is that you actually do kind of the gravy portion of it separately. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what I need to do here is, this is 2 tablespoons of butter. This is our stainless steel pan, and if you don't have our stainless steel pan, it's the 10-inch. It is the hex clad, and what's so nice about this one, you guys, is that there are no rivets here, so you don't have to worry about cleaning it. And if you are watching this in the month of May 2022, you actually could get this pan for 60% off this month. So definitely, I like to use my videos over and over again, but if it comes to that, I can always get it for you at 50% off, but 60% off, of course, is always better. So let me take a look here. And so the next thing I need to do is I need to add, I took our quick slice and I sliced up all of our mushrooms. So it called for about 1.5 pounds of mushrooms. And it did say in the recipe that most people thought that fresh was better. So if you like canned mushrooms, I'm a big fan in chili and things like that, but I definitely thought it would be nice to do so. It called for a minced onion, but I have a 3-onion rub that I really like, and since I've already got onions in here, I'm going to go ahead and just use our 3-onion rub. As a matter of fact, I think I'm almost out of it, so I'm going to go ahead and take off the lid and just go ahead and use it all up. But that is such a gorgeous, I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but look how beautiful. Just all different kinds of onions and stuff in there, so I'm just going to use up the rest of the 3-onion rub and put it in there, which means I need to make a pantry run. So with Pampered Chef. So I am going to do these for a few minutes, and I'll come back in just a second. Thanks. Okay, so I've got these beautiful mushrooms in here, and what I did was I sauteed them in the 2 tablespoons of butter, and then I went ahead and I added about 2 tablespoons of white wine to this. And I added, based on the recipe's recommendations, a little bit of Worcestershire. Not a lot, but just a tiny bit, because I think that that would add the nice little kick. That's the only deviation that I've made from this. So it says to go ahead and mix the mushrooms into the stroganoff. That looks so good already. And somebody else mentioned as well is that at the very end they would have added just a little bit of heavy cream. So I'll go ahead and do that as well. Sorry, I'm having some work done out back. They're a little loud. Anyway, the last thing it calls for is warmed sour cream. And the reason it's called for warmed and not just cold is because when you put cold sour cream, which is dairy, inside something that's already warm, plus the wine in there, it can curdle. So you gotta be really careful. So I'm just gonna do a little bit at a time and kind of mix it in there so it doesn't curdle, but that gives it that beautiful stroganoff look, if you can see that there. Oh my gosh, you guys, this smells so good. I'm so excited. I'm gonna do this over egg noodles. My husband's not a huge fan, but I love this dish, and so I'm gonna eat it the way I wanna eat it. So he'll have to suffer through the egg noodles, but you could also do it over spätzle. As a matter of fact, I think the recipe actually calls for rice, so a little bit different, but something that you could easily do. And then of course, just a nice vegetable on the side. But this is something that you could make up, you could freeze it, you could have it later on. I'm sure you could do this sometimes in the pressure cooker, but for me, the way that I'm trying to get the meat to come together, I wanted to be old school about it and go ahead and just do what I was gonna do. So this looks incredible. Let me get my last little bit out here. As far as sour cream goes. And then I've got some chives I'm gonna stick over top of it just to give it a little bit of color, and that should be it. So thanks for hanging with me today. I have really enjoyed coming up with new recipes and things to make. I have to figure out some new ones myself, but the fact that I needed to use up sour cream allowed me to kind of Google some stuff and see what might be available. So I hope whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a great one. Take care.